Hey, what's going on, guys? V Squad crew, because it's not the full cast. It is
True.
Charlie and Garrett. How's it going, Charlie?
It's going well. Post Money in the Bank, show just ended about 15 minutes ago. Our boy, the host, the third man of the
With the
trio
boss.
here is he's in Vegas, so it'll be just Garrett and I this week. Who knows? Maybe we'll figure out something for the squad cast on Friday for you guys. But yeah,
We want to keep this theme of live shows going since it's just the two of us and we gotta have like little looser schedules.
very true. Fact.
All right, so Money in the Bank happened, Chaz. There was a lot of stuff on this show, so let's just get right into it. So on the pre-show, we had the SmackDown Tag Team title match between the Bludgeon Brothers and the Good Brothers. So it was Battle of the Brothers. I think going into this match, I picked Gallows and Anderson just because I thought it'd be nice to see them get another title win. It's been a while, It was on Raw the last time they won it, so that did not happen. We had a win for the Bludgeon Brothers. So what do you think of that match, Chaz? It was kind of a slow match in my opinion.
I think we're finally getting to the point where the Bludgeon Brothers are no longer squashing everyone, and it's nice because I like when they actually go out there and have matches. And I don't have the time on the match right now. I don't know if you do, but it went a decent amount of time, and it was just a good pre-show match, And something about the Good Brothers being on the pre-show, they won their first tag titles on the pre-show. So I mean, hey, who knows? They're going to do it again, right?
Yeah, I mean it's just good to see the tag division still making it on the pay-per-views, even if it's only on the pre-show. Because I don't think there wasn't a Raw Tag Team title match, so there was supposed
to. What happened with that?
Apparently, there was a scheduled one with the B team, right?
Yeah, it apparently was never on the actual card though, so I don't know.
Maybe they'll have it on tomorrow night, but we'll have to stay tuned for that.
True.
Maybe they just didn't want to cut the momentum of the show because there was a lot of momentum going into like the last three matches of the show from the crowd. So we'll jump in. I think this was the first match on the actual card. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass.
Yes.
Daniel Bryan defeated Big Cass, and it is an old fashion of how Daniel Bryan would always win with the. This isn't really an obscure submission. It's actually more of it's an actual submission in MMA. The heel hook, which I'm sure was not fun to be in. So this match actually surprised me. They gave it a lot more time than I thought it needed, but not only did. So this is what I said to my mom, who I was watching with it at the time. It was interesting because it was in the slower parts that you think Cass would slow down a bit is when they would just shove in the rest of Daniel Bryan's offense. So you still had that dominating offense of the big guy, but you had Bryan getting a lot of offense and still looking strong. So I want to know what your thoughts were on this match, Chaz. But yeah.
So it was a good opener. I thought I went into it thinking they were going to open with one of the ladder matches, but I think this was their best match, definitely compared to the other one. At what was it, Backlash? This was way better. I thought Big Cass looked like a good heel. I thought Daniel Bryan looked like your underdog babyface that you want to root for. And it went 16 minutes, and I thought it was a good opening match. It set the pay-per-view off on a good tone.
I don't think it redeems Cass for like his his terrible promos he cuts, but like I think it definitely is a right track. If they can keep the matches like this against people maybe smaller than him, if it helps for the speed thing, then I think they can be getting some money out of that guy. All right, on to the next part of the card. So this match, to me, was the only thing I thought was like kind of unnecessary, and I didn't really care what happened. We had Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. So interestingly enough, the three matches I think that the people probably didn't really have as much investment in: the tag match, the match with Bryan and Cass, and the match with Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley. I almost called him Bobby Roode. Glorious Bobby Lashley. They were all stacked right at the beginning, so that, and this is like I said, so the momentum could build toward the matches at the end of the show. So what did you think of this match? Personally, I thought it was fine match. It's just it didn't need to be on the card.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if it was just me not having any expectations, but I felt like this did not. It felt like it went 6.5 minutes, right? It felt like it dragged on for 20. Like it really just was a slow one. Sami got destroyed. I don't even know if Sami got in any real offense.
I looked away from the screen and it was over. So I literally had no investment in this match, no expectations. It could have just completely blown me out of the way like Sami Zayn has done in the past, and just didn't do that.
Yeah, it was just a quick Lashley looks like a powerhouse, and we'll see what happens next.
It was no Kalisto Baron Corbin chairs match. All right, so
Constable Corbin.
Yeah, Constable Corbin did make an appearance on the show, and we're not going to talk about that, but he was there, so that was the thing. So we have the Intercontinental title match, which if I have to say, if one match just stood out where it had no expectations of being a really, really good match. I mean, we knew it was going to be fine, but this is probably, of all the matches on the show, other than maybe the Money in the Banks themselves, because they always have really good stories in them, because they always attach decent stories to them. Plus, everyone wants to win. I thought the storytelling for a match that didn't have really a whole lot of build to it other than I want your title, I want to keep my title, I thought it way over-delivered in the best way, and Elias looked really, really good in this match.
Yeah, I thought it was a enjoying that. You know, I'm with you there. Wasn't too invested into the feud. I thought him breaking the custom-made guitar by John Mayer was funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought it was much better than the match before it. And I mean, it keeps up this Rollins hot streak of having him keep the title.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I don't know if this completely rebounds the momentum that this feud is kind of taking a little bit of the luster off of that Rollins had. But you know, like everything on this show is kind of sort of like repairing the cracks that were starting to show in some of the feuds they were having to go to, because they're just trying to not waste all these new feuds they've established with this shakeup, and they're just trying to get some good matches out of some people. I don't know what this means for Elias though, going forward, where he goes next.
It might do it again, to be honest.
Yeah, and maybe it's a smart move. All right, so moving down the card, we have our first Money in the Bank match of the night, the women's Money in the Bank match. I said this, I don't know if I said this on the show or this was in our conversation before, but of the two Money in the Bank matches, I think some of the most vicious spots, obviously the most vicious spots were from Strowman in the men's match, but some of the most painful looking ones were definitely in the women's. And so before we get to who won this one, let's just talk about the match itself. I can't, it's hard for me, especially right after a show, to remember spots off the top of my head, but I seem to remember something about like Natalya taking a nasty bump onto a ladder in the corner, and there were a lot more than the men's. There was a lot more people falling off ladders just into the ropes and stuff. Yeah, there was just a lot of crazy stuff. So like, do you remember anything off the top of your head?
Yeah, so there was this bump where Natalya grabbed, I believe it was Sasha Banks, and smashed her onto the ladder. And I swear Sasha hit her head. And
you know what? There was one that I didn't remember. There was one where Sasha double stacked. I can't remember who it was. She double stacked two people on a ladder on the second rope, and then did a whatever that double knees thing she does is.
Yeah,
that was that looked like that wasn't fun. There was just a lot of crazy stuff in both matches. Like I said, I'm not gonna be able to remember a lot of stuff off the top of my head because I just watched the show. But yeah, is there anything else you can remember?
Something I think this was the most invested I've been in a women's match in maybe ever. I think this was one of my favorite matches I've ever seen, especially in terms of a multi-women match, because their 6 tags have not, 10 women tags have not been the greatest, but these 8 girls went out there and killed it. And honestly, I really enjoyed myself. Let's talk about the winner. So what do you think of Alexa Bliss winning the briefcase?
I thought it was, at first I wasn't sure. Events that transpired later led me to believe that it ultimately was the right decision, but the shock factor for winning, I think, was something.
Yeah, agreed.
There was actually way more of a pop when she started going up the ladder and then got the briefcase than I expected. I guess she's over with the crowd, but you just don't think that what essentially she right now would be considered would be a mid-card heel that's just doing her thing and having a match. Now she's got the briefcase and she's got a lot more opportunity just instantaneously. And it's like, I thought it was an interesting direction. I wasn't against the idea when I saw it. I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming. It was one of those things where when you see the winner It was kind of like when Dean Ambrose won at the start of the Money in the Bank a couple of years ago. You were like, oh, okay, I would have given it to X, but hey, and that ended up
Owens that year. That was the guy that year, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so
it all works out. I mean, I think the shock factor was there. I did not expect her to win. I was thinking if it wasn't going to be Natalya, they go with their safe bet of Charlotte. So I mean, she wasn't even in my thought process. But what she did with the briefcase, how many people thought that almost exact thing was going to happen with Natalya?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and we'll get to that when we get to that match, which be just a minute.
So the next one, I think our memory skipped it, right? I think we just blanked it out.
Yeah, there was a match between two guys that the fans really don't like that both were champions recently, but I don't remember who was in it, and we're just gonna move on. All right, so
there was a wave at one point during it. I think I remember that.
I think there was like a small man in a chair on the side of the ring. I don't remember. Anyway,
I think he was hurt.
I think we talked about it on that episode 7. Yeah, I think that's when that happened.
That episode 7, dude. You're right. That's when we covered it. Good.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that again. All right. So next on the card we have Carmella defeating Asuka to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. So I wanted to go out and say that out of the way. I will save how that happened till later in the segment, but just the initial idea of her retaining. What ideas does that put in your head, Charlie?
I think Brady put it a really good way. She kind of needs this title for right now. No matter what, even if she lost, she's established as their biggest heel, pretty much, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think it was the right call. I mean, I didn't know how she was gonna beat her, but when it ended up being, go ahead and tell the people what happened. So there was gonna be some messing around of food. You know what I'm saying?
About what seemed about like halfway through the match to me, because this was actually a pretty decent in-ring match. Carmella's been getting better and better at going toe-to-toe with people. Yeah, going toe-to-toe with people like Asuka. I really actually would love to see a match between her and Becky, because I think they're close enough in size that they would benefit from that. But that's down the road. So we had what would we call an Asuka impersonator jump up on the side of the ring. I'm going to tell you what my initial thought was, because there was some stuff on other WWE stuff that had hinted at well, I don't want to spoil it, but another Japanese superstar that could be coming into the women's division.
Oh, well, yeah, we know she's in the Money in the Bank. Or not the Money in the Bank, the Women's Classic 2.
Right. Okay, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I just don't want to spoil anything that happened on Saturday. But anyway, and I was like, okay, it might be Kairi Sane, I was like, that would be really cool, because she's been involved in stuff before. But then in my head, I was like, okay, but that kind of is, I shouldn't have that thought immediately. Maybe it's just somebody else. The mask comes off a little bit later. There's a little bit more offense before, and it's revealed to be James Ellsworth, the greatest of all time, next WWE champion. What are your thoughts on this as the way to win?
So in terms of figuring out in your head who it is, as soon as he jumped up, I immediately saw those pants. So if you go back and look, I immediately saw his money pants that he was wearing.
Okay.
Clicked right away. I was like, that's Ellsworth.
I wasn't really paying attention. I was like trying to see.
My brain just caught that. So I don't know if that's a thing, but my brain immediately caught that. I'm fine with it. I think illusion like that looks a little interesting, but she'll probably get another match out of it. So,
right, and we can still use this concept of power scaling a little bit because
yeah, she beat her.
Yeah, so that makes sense, even if it's not technically like by her own strength, because a heel doesn't win by their own strength most of the time. That's what makes them a bad guy. So
for the Carmella character, having this win is insane.
Yeah, I mean, and she's gonna be like, "Oh, look at all these people I've beat," and then someone will eventually come in and burst the bubble on that. So we had I guess it kind of depends on your opinion. For me, this was match of the night. We had AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match, and we thought that brutal and brutal meant brutal. So you have AJ who didn't really soften his style from the Japanese style he was wrestling before he came to WWE. I mean, he never really wrestled entirely like they do over there anyway, but he's still a little bit more, he still has those offensive strikes. And you have the king of strong style, Shinsuke Nakamura. You knew this was going to be a titanic clash. So, again, not very many spots rung home. I remember one specifically where AJ did a phenomenal forearm through the announce table. I think I remember there was several spots. Oh no, I remember one that played heavily into the match was Nakamura kneeing the exposed turnbuckle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think other than the announce table, was there another table involved at one point? Yeah, AJ barreled through a table at one point and then almost didn't beat the 10 count
on a table.
That happened.
So the table didn't break. So they went on. What I'm assuming is they just went on Impact and all right, let's do something else with this table. And he can
yeah. Because think about it. If a table is supposed to be destroyed by a certain point in the show to set up maybe for another spot, you have to make sure that breaks. I assume
that Styles
they don't just get permissions. That was an old spot from I think when he was in Ring of Honor. He used to do that a lot, or maybe just other indies. Yeah. He used to do that Avalanche Styles Clash off the apron. I'm assuming that Nakamura is like, I would like to be able to still knee people afterward, but I mean, yeah, there was just so much crazy stuff that happened in this match. Ultimately, it went the way I called it on the show. I was just calling it because I really like AJ Styles. I did not expect it to go this way, but it felt earned, and I think that's going to matter when it comes to how people view Shinsuke coming out of this. It is already a question of, and I'll ask it to you now, Charlie, where does Nakamura go from here?
I don't know where he goes from here, but this was his best match he's had on the main roster. This was him and AJ's best match by far on the main roster and whatnot. And it just, I think they almost needed this. They needed the feud to end like this. The last man standing brought the brutality of it, like we were talking about, and just, where does he go? I mean, he beat Hardy last week on SmackDown, so maybe that's a route. Keep him a big heel, give him some gold, see what happens. Where does AJ go? It's got to be Daniel Bryan, right? He just won, beat Big Cass.
It could be Daniel Bryan. I know Samoa Joe still wants a shot at that belt.
Who knows? Because I mean, I don't know how they're going to treat it, but all those guys just lost tonight. So I don't know how you treat that in their mind. But if they do decide to go Daniel Bryan versus AJ, are you kidding me, man? Yeah, that's what it's all about right there. So
yeah, yep. So next part of the card might be the most talked about, the most headline popping one of the night. So we had Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship. So this was there was no SmackDown Women's title match in this show, right? There was there's both. So there was both women's titles on the show. So they sacrificed. So if we're going through math, they sacrificed a tag match and put one on the pre-show so they could have both women's matches. I find that interesting. And I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, it was probably Ronda's best performance overall, just in a match. I think you could tell she's really been honing her wrestling itself and trying to, match the style of other women nowadays, not just trying to learn how to be a wrestler like some people do.
100% natural at this business.
And I think that just makes sense because if you look at other people with the drive like her, like your Brock Lesnar's, like your Kurt Angles back in the day, like Chad Gable, who was on a super hot streak of singles matches when his tag partner went down originally, like, and I mean, you just have all these people that were wrestlers, like actual wrestlers that became professional wrestlers, and it just seems like a good formula. Nia Jax, I'm going to be real for a second and say I don't think she got that much offense in this match. And that's just the noticing, like she got a lot of, it was kind of the same thing that they did, like I said before, where with Big Cass, where they let it go longer so that when she got, I don't want to know if it's tired because she's kind of athletic, but when the slower spots would get there, they would have Ronda come in and do some more stuff. And I will say, I did call this again. It was all about the armbar in this match, which I think that was expected because they've been building it the last however many weeks that she just couldn't get the armbar.
True.
It didn't matter because We had an unexpected event happen in the middle of this match when Alexa Bliss came out with her case and smacked Ronda on the back of the head as she was going to get that armbar cinched in.
Yeah, that was great call. But Bucks fan, well, welcome to the show, Bucks fan. I don't know if you've been here, but he said the booking to protect Ronda was brilliant and 100%. She
absolutely
wins the match. When Alexa hits her, she wins the match.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexa, I mean, say what you want about cashing in on the same night, but if we're going in terms of a storyline, think of how much sense this makes. She just won up Nia again. And now she's got the belt. And now she's a 5-time champ. I mean,
it certainly makes you wonder, what does that mean for like who's gonna, obviously we're gonna have a rematch, but does that put Ronda right back in the title scene, or does she maybe go into a mid-card title feud? I mean, it really doesn't matter, because I would really like, and this is just off the top of my head, I would really like to see her get into a feud with like Sasha Banks or somebody like that. Just to test her mettle in like a one-on-one contest where she has to bring it, or it's just gonna be a one-sided match, you know?
True. The way Alexa went about beating up Ronda, that's going to play somewhere, right?
That's why I was saying, if maybe she goes and she has a couple of matches against Sasha and maybe, I don't know, maybe even like a Natalya or somebody like that, just to like have some matches, you know?
Yeah.
Then maybe you could have her go back into the title scene. I think eventually you have to have her go back, because she didn't think she was ready, but she almost won the title, you know, like she was this close, you know.
What if they do Alexa versus Ronda at SummerSlam?
If they do that, I'd watch it. I'd be like, yep. And even if that's just a transitional Money in the Bank briefcase championship for Ronda to get the belt, maybe not immediately, but I mean, people would probably been okay with her winning this match. Honestly, if it had just gone flat, Ronda won, I think people would have been into it. And I think that they know that now, and then they're going to move on that opportunity eventually. So
true. Now we're on to our main event.
It's the main event of the evening. All right, so the men's Money in the Bank match. We said that the last man standing match was brutal. This was a whole new level of brutal. So some stuff is definitely still brewing in my head from this one, because we just watched it. The first thing I had to comment on, the most hilarious thing on the planet, was watching every superstar grab ladders from the set and place them on top of Braun Strowman.
Yeah, that was good, yeah.
Like, you could tell they were only supposed to do a couple, and they just kept grabbing the giant ladders off the set, and they were just like, and the Miz was just in the background in one shot, and like the commentators couldn't help but laugh because it was just a hilarious sight. So, what was your, if you have one off the top of your head, favorite spot from this match?
I was definitely a sucker for Braun when it was Bobby Roode and someone else holding the ladder, and then went to go clothesline Braun with it, and he went right through the ladder and knocked them both out.
Yeah, and it broke the ladder in half, too.
That was great. I thought Kevin Owens getting chucked off that thing after he's been the one for the past, couple weeks, seemingly trying to rally everyone, right?
That was really good, yeah.
So a lot of playing and storytelling. And
my personal favorite thing, well, first, there were two really, really nice acrobatic spots. So Finn Balor, or no, it wasn't Finn. It was somebody, I can't remember who, did the spot where you bounce off of the rope onto the ladder while someone's on the other side. That was nice. That was something that I think they ripped straight from Bo Dallas and Finn Balor's NXT title match, I think. Maybe it wasn't. It was an NXT title match on NXT TV from forever ago. Anyway, so I think it might have been a pay-per-view. Anyway, whatever. It was, people would know what match I'm talking about. And then there was a spot from Kofi Kingston, who, by the way, was the New Day member that made it into the match.
Could you believe how over he was?
Yeah, because I've been watching Kofi for years. I remember when he debuted, when he still had the Jamaican accent, but he was just Jamaican, Like, I just, like, I understand, because he's been on top of some division for his entire career, whether it was the Intercontinental title when he first came in, or the tag team titles and becoming the greatest tag team champions of all time,
I think he's the longest reigning combined tag champ ever.
Probably. I mean, think about how many times how much combined time he's had as champion
I remember
because it's across multiple different belts too, because he was around in the era when there was still the two separate tag belts, the World and the WWE Tag Team Champions. So, but anyway, Kofi Kingston jumping up off of and climbing onto Braun Strowman's back was probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. And if he had won that match, the whole company would have been behind it. I mean, like,
I was getting a vibe he could have won it during the match. I was like really getting this vibe. I'm picturing it in my head like, man, what if Kofi does win this? What if he is the next guy?
I would buy a Kofi versus AJ match if Kofi was like, yeah. I'm gonna cash this in at SummerSlam. And he's like, all right, you know.
I would have been okay with it.
I think this match just shows to Goya that when you have a bunch of guys that are needing some sort of revitalization in their careers. Not that any of these guys need that, but like when there's a bunch of guys that have a spot on your show usually, and you have all these new people coming in that you need to give a spot, and all of these guys needed a spot right now. None of them are really doing anything, you know. It ultimately comes down to who needs it the most. I don't think that's actually what the decision came down to in this match, as we'll get to. But yeah, so spots were crazy, and the winner was Braun Strowman. Yeah. So let me just get your initial thoughts on Braun Strowman as the winner of this match.
I really like Strowman as a character and everything, right? I just where did they always have their safe picks, right? And every Money in the Bank, there's the safe pick. Sometimes they go with it, sometimes they go wild. Braun was the safe pick in this, and lo and behold, he wins it. I mean, I just don't understand. I don't know. If there was anyone who needed it less than him in the company, it would have been Roman. And then it's Braun. Like, he just did not need it at all. But, I mean, I guess he lost to Lesnar, 3 times? So this is how he gets up on him now? So...
I'm going to just throw this out here. We've heard rumors of another Brock and Roman match. Was it at SummerSlam? I mean, I really hope this isn't what happens, but I'm already getting a vibe that there's going to be a big Brock has finally gotten beaten by Roman, and then the cash in, and everyone hates life, and we all go home. You know, like
pretty much, yeah.
And it's not my subscription, but I cancel your subscription to the network because you'd be okay with it anyway.
Bucks fan said Braun will dethrone Brock at SummerSlam. And he also said, I like Alexa, but her beating Ronda in a match is unrealistic. Agreed. I don't think she'd beat Ronda at SummerSlam if that was the route they went. Yeah, I mean, Raw win in both cases. Team Little Big, 2 people that were pretty much safe picks in the sense of...
Was every person in these matches a person that was on the... the tag team, whatever the heck it was,
for the most part,
mixed tag thing. I think pretty much all of them were the mixed tag match people.
Yeah,
which is fine.
But
they were all
for the show. What were your thoughts for the show?
Just overall for all of the show. Oh,
yeah.
I started the show bored after the first couple matches because I was like, okay, there were some good things in there, but I didn't really care. As the show started to get rolling on, I enjoyed it more and more. And there were some pretty crazy spots in there that made me go, okay, I got to keep watching this. Because while I'm watching wrestling, even on pay-per-views, I'm kind of half watching it, doing other bunch of stuff at the same time. But this show had a lot of matches on it that I was like, okay, I got to sit and watch this because stuff is happening. I don't think any of the matches off of this show, except maybe AJ and Shinsuke match, will be like, all right, this is a match of the year candidate. I just don't think gimmick matches generally make it in there. Just because by their nature, they're spot fests, and spot fests are generally boring to most viewers. So unless you're not really into wrestling, but yeah, I mean, so it was an okay show. I don't think there was anything particularly bad on it. I didn't like that we didn't know for sure that the B team match wasn't on the show. I thought they had a lot of momentum, and it's not going to hurt them. But I have no idea, but ultimately, I don't think it affected the show too much. It's just kind of like a question mark, if anything. But anyway, so what were your thoughts overall on Money in the Bank 2018?
Good show. I thought they needed a good show, and I thought it succeeded. Bucks fan Gargano versus Ciampa was the greatest match I've ever watched live. Hey, man. All those guys, they're just it's such an emotional rivalry that it captures so much for you. So
they played on that a lot too, as you'll go to see. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think this is one of those times where NXT is going to take the cake for the weekend.
of course.
But that happens every time anyway, so we don't really worry about that. I saw an advertisement on this show for on the 23rd, I think it said NXT Takeover Monday.
Oh,
so hold on, let me Google that really quickly. If I find the
live thing, yeah, it's the WWE UK tournament.
Yeah, it's a tournament thing. Yep. So but they're also doing a takeover on London show apparently. So yeah, I don't know how that works. Let me look it up really quickly. It's probably, like you said, it's just a side thing for the network. Yeah, but, we'll do some kind of thing
for the tournament. All the titles are on the line.
Yeah. So I assume we'll get an opponent for Dunn maybe, since the London show.
Yep, the winner of the tournament faces Dunn.
Okay.
Shayna Baszler is pretty much going to face Toni Storm, which is pretty cool. And then Adam Cole defends, and I believe Black defends too.
Yeah, we're going to have some of the storylines carrying over, I think. Not sure.
True.
But that'll be to look out. So we're going to do another, we talked about it. We're going to do another NXT type show here soon. So we'll probably do that after maybe London, because there won't be a pay-per-view that week. So
yeah, we'll definitely do it before Brooklyn. So
yes, we'll have some more NXT stuff out here in the near future. Any final thoughts on Money in the Bank, Chaz?
Good show. Hopefully Raw and SmackDown get us interested for Extreme Rules.
Absolutely, because Extreme Rules can be one of those kind of hit or miss pay-per-views where if there's not any really good matches on it, there's not gonna be a whole lot of time to build storylines, so they're gonna have to work that. But anyway, that's gonna do it for the squad crew, as I'm calling it tonight, when it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Brother Detective Agency is brought to you live. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Make sure you guys click that little bell so you know when we go live. And I guess that's gonna do it for you, brothers.